Peace and welcome to the culture here on the Black Star Network. I'm your host, Farajii Muhammad. Thank you so much for tuning in and being a part of the conversation. Folks, happy Friday. We got a lot to talk about. First, let me share with you the latest talk in Washington, which is the Romney Reckoning. This is based on a new book about the Utah senator who has officially announced that he is not seeking re-election and that he is walking away from public service, but not without some controversy. So we're going to talk a little bit about some of the things he said in his upcoming memoir. Also, folks, let's talk about supporting children and youth. We're going to be checking in with the Baltimore Children and Youth Fund, who is going to be giving money to support youth-led projects. We'll talk a little bit about that. And then later on, folks, we got some other great things. Plus, we're streaming a lot of great content. So stay with us. It's all happening on today's edition of The Culture right here on the Black Star Network. Let's go. There we go. All right, folks. Welcome to the culture here on the Black Star Network. Happy Friday, and happy Friday, folks. We are streaming live on a number of different platforms, and so you can tune in. First and foremost, go to our home website at blackstarnetwork.com. Again, that's blackstarnetwork.com to see all the latest shows and all of the latest pieces of content and news and things that are happening across the country. But most importantly, to check us out, as we're streaming live right there. We're also streaming live on Amazon TV, on Fire TV, on Amazon News. We would love for you to check us out there, and on Plex TV, where you can find us there 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Just look in the news and opinion section on Plex TV, and boom, Black Star Network pops right up there. Now, of course, on social media, you can find us on Facebook under Roland Martin, and we are on YouTube. This is where you can join us to be a Culture Crew member for the day. On the YouTube chat, just go under Roland Martin on YouTube and join the conversation. And I cannot wait to connect with all of you on YouTube. But let's talk a little bit about some of the latest happenings politically around the country. But the big story that people have been talking about, a lot more politicals than anything else, is this latest situation, this new book coming out called about Utah Senator, longstanding Senator, former presidential candidate, Mr. Mitt Romney. Mr. Romney has a book coming out called Romney, A Reckoning. And this book is also is getting a lot of attention, along with the fact that Mitt Romney has officially put out a campaign video where he is saying that he is not seeking re-election. At least if we can, let's play a little bit of what Mr. Romney had to say about why he's deciding to not run for the Senate anymore. Take a look.
I enjoy my work in the Senate a good deal. The last few years have been particularly productive as I was able to help lead and negotiate the bipartisan infrastructure law, a comprehensive China strategy process, religious liberty protections, a compromised gun safety law, the Electoral Count Act reform, and emergency COVID relief funding. I was also able to help secure key Utah priorities, including funding for Hill Air Force Base and its program to modernize our nuclear deterrent, as well as funding for wildfire prevention, water infrastructure, rural broadband, removal of uranium tailings from Moab, expansion and restoration of our highway and transit infrastructure, and federal studies to save the Great Salt Lake. I've spent my last 25 years in public service of one kind or another. At the end of another term, I'd be in my mid-80s. Frankly, it's time for a new generation of leaders. They're the ones that need to make the decisions that will shape the world they will be living in. Now, we face critical challenges: mounting national debt, climate change, and the ambitious authoritarians of Russia and China. Neither President Biden nor former President Trump are leading their party to confront those issues. On deficits and debt, both men refuse to address entitlements, even though they know that this represents 2/3 of federal spending. Donald Trump calls global warming a hoax, and President Biden offers feel-good solutions that make no difference to the global climate. On China, President Biden underinvests in the military, and President Trump underinvests in our alliances. Political motivations too often impede the solutions that these challenges demand. The next generation of leaders must take America to the next stage of global leadership. While I'm not running for re-election, I'm not retiring from the fight. I'll be your United States Senator until January of 2025. I will keep working on these and other issues, and I'll advance our state's numerous priorities. I look forward to working with you and with folks across our state and nation in that endeavor. It really is a profound honor to serve Utah and the country, and I thank you for giving me the opportunity to do so.
That was Senator Mitt
contrary
Romney,
to a lot of expectations,
Senator Mitt Romney, as he talks about his plans over the next year or so, year and a few months, as he is not seeking re-election. But as you can tell, the senator is looking to still stay engaged in some way, shape, or form in the political space. But he's also took some hits, took some jabs rather, at the President Biden, former President Donald Trump, keeping them on their toes. And as you know, if you understand the history of Mitt Romney, especially within the Republican Party, he has always tried to, not always, but he has tried to differentiate himself from his colleagues on very, very serious matters. Of course, he served as only one of the very few voices that voted to impeach Donald Trump twice. But he also has been dealing with some of the other issues of, going against President Biden on the infrastructure bill, going against President Biden on some COVID relief stuff. So he's been around, and he is considered to be one of the few last remaining GOP conservatives, quote unquote, good conservatives in the Senate and in Congress. So he's looking to make his departure, and it has brought up a lot of questions, because not only is he looking to make his departure from his time in office, he has a book. And we're going to talk a little bit about some of the big ideas that he threw out there, but he does have a book to talk about not just himself, but he goes in on his own party. Now, let's talk about this very first part of this, folks, which is what I wanted to share with you, is that he understands, and if you heard the video, he says that he talks about kind of moving to the side for the next generation of young leaders. And of course, this adds to the larger conversation about President Biden, and people are saying the president is too old and he'll be in his mid to late 80s if he serves another term. This is the conversation, or even around President Trump. Even though we don't talk about health issues with President Trump, the fact is that there's still men in their 80s, Mitt Romney in his 80s, and he's saying, look, there has to be the next generation of leaders. So I'm not sure, folks, and crew, I want to get your take on this. How, if you think that a person like Mitt Romney, is he going to be able to kind of shift the conversation about this gerontocracy that we're currently involved in? I want you to join me in a conversation. Let me know your thoughts on this idea that he put out there, that there has to be a new generation of global leaders, political leaders. And do you see this making any type of impact on these larger conversations? Join me right now as we're streaming live on YouTube, on under Roland Martin, and certainly we're on Facebook, and you can post your comments there, and we'll try to get there as well. Real Brooklyn, thank you so much for checking in, and so many of y'all are checking in, so I'm gonna do my roll call in a moment. But Real Brooklyn, you say, I think Mitt felt the pressure because I believe he was the only Senate Republican to vote twice. He was to convict Trump. Dude has been in government for a long time, and all of a sudden he is bouncing. And given the fact that, Kevin McCarthy right now has felt the pressure of some of the Trump supporters, whether it's coming from Josh Hawley or whether it's coming from Matt Gaetz or whoever, that they're kind of dictating the agenda on the party, and they're going after President Biden and his son and on impeachment charges and everything about the laptop and all of these things, but they're going after them. So I think Mitt Romney sees himself outside of that. Like he sees that his party is taking a turn for more of a level of authoritarianism, Real Brooklyn, than a party that is trying to get the people's work done. So I appreciate you. And you also said, Real Brooklyn, I think he burned up a bunch of bridges. I'm sure he did. Janelle, thank you, Real Brooklyn. Janelle, you said Romney may have knelt in the George Floyd marches, but he remains the same Republican in support of the status quo and big business. And he's not. And you know what? I think there was a New York Times piece that I read earlier this morning about this, and that they call that even though in his book Romney: A Reckoning, even though he talks bad about some of his colleagues, he slams the Republican Party about certain issues, that they say that he has, in a space of tragic ambivalence, to come out to say that his party is taking this country into the wrong direction. So there's a little bit of that he as much as he can talk about, he's not fully saying, look, he's not defecting from the party, but he's just kind of fading to black a little bit. But I think that you're right on to something right there, Janelle. Thank you so much. Vic Abram, you said no one should have 40 plus years in government. They're beyond out of touch. Only if they, and I agree with you, Vic, and I don't want this to be about age, an ageist conversation, but the way America and the culture of America is moving, it does require you to stay up, quote unquote, on the changes and the evolutions of everything, right? So Vic, to your point, 40 plus years in public service. We've been talking about term limits. We've been talking about age requirements and all of those things. But when you say it like that, Vic, I'm in agreement with you. 40 plus years, you are going to lose touch, especially if you have been insulated by partisan politics and you have not opened up to new ideas, new people, really reaching across the aisle. So I agree with you on that one. Thank you so much, Vic, for bringing that up. Pauline, you said, where is Josh Hawley? Last time I saw him, he was running out of the Capitol building on January 6th. I don't know. I can't keep up with that guy. I have no idea. Like, there is that cadre of Republicans who tries to put themselves out. I know he put out a book on dealing with the crisis of manhood in this country, but there's a cadre of Republicans, young Republicans, like a Josh Hawley, like a J.D. Vance, or like a, even with Cruz, Ted Cruz, and others, they gone. They are gone. McCole, you said, I agree that there has to be a transference of leadership. The next generation is up, and I believe that they are ready to disrupt and dismantle these systems that do not serve the U.S. citizens well. And folks, we're going to take a quick pause. But when I come forward, let's have a conversation about this, McCole, because Mitt said something in his book that the author of the book, who is a reporter for The Atlantic, the author of the book didn't ask Mitt at the time to elaborate on, but I want to bring it to the forefront because it speaks volumes and exactly to what you're talking about, McCole. it speaks volumes about where we are. And I truly believe, crew, I truly, truly believe it is another piece of writing on the wall that is going to cause us as Black folks in this country, Black America, to ask some hard questions and to try to figure out the best course of action for us to take. So I want to hold on to that thought, Nicole, because you brought up something very, very important, and I'm glad you did, because we need to talk about it. Look, I got to take a quick pause. When we come forward, let's continue the conversation. I called it the Romney reckoning, but there is something else that is happening. It's not just about the man as much it is about the time and the system of things that we are involved in. And I want us to have a conversation about it. So stay with me. We got a lot to get to in this first part, this first hour of the culture here on the Black Star Network.
On his first day in office, with the country in crisis, President Biden got to work for us. Cutting Black child poverty in half, more money for Black entrepreneurs, millions of new, good-paying jobs. He's lowered the cost of living and prescription drugs. But there's more to do. He gets it, because we all deserve dignity, safety, respect, and a chance to do more than just get by, but to get ahead.
I'm Joe Biden, and I approve this message.
Pull up a chair, take your seat. The Black Tape with me, Dr. Greg Carr, here on the Black Star Network. Every week, we'll take a deeper dive into the world we're living in. Join the conversation only on the Black Star Network.
I'm Farajii Muhammad, live from LA. And this is The Culture. The Culture is a two-way conversation. You and me. We talk about the stories, politics, the good, the bad, and the downright ugly. So join our community every day at 3 p.m. Eastern and let your voice be heard. Hey, we're all in this together. So let's talk about it and see what kind of trouble we can get into. It's The Culture, weekdays at 3, only on the Black Star Network.
When you talk about blackness and what happens in Black culture, we're about covering these things that matter to us, speaking to our issues and concerns.
This is a genuine people-powered movement.
There's a lot of stuff that we're not getting. You get it, and you spread the word.
We wish to plead our own cause, to long have others spoken for us. We cannot tell our own story if we can't pay for it.
This is about covering us. Invest in Black-owned media. Your dollars matter. We don't have to keep asking them to cover our stuff. So please support us in what we do, folks.
Contrary to a lot of expectations, I enjoy my work.
We're behind 100,000, so we want to hit that. Y'all money makes this possible. Check some money orders. Go to P.O. Box 57196, Washington, D.C. 20037-0196. The Cash App is $RM Unfiltered. PayPal is R Martin Unfiltered. Venmo is RM Unfiltered. Zelle is roland@rolandsmartin.com.
Folks, Black Star Network is here.
Oh, no punches! I'm real revolutionary right now.
Support this man, Black media. He makes sure that our stories are told.
Thank you for being the voice of Black America, Roland.
I love y'all.
All momentum we have now, we have to keep this going.
The video looks phenomenal.
See, this difference between Black Star Network and Black-owned media and something like CNN.
You can't be Black-owned media and be scared.
It's time to be smart.
Bring your eyeballs home.
You dig?
All right, folks, welcome back to the culture, here on the Black Star Network. I'm your host, Farajii Muhammad. We've been talking about Utah Senator Mitt Romney, who has announced that he is going to complete his term, but he is not seeking re-election when he has to leave office in 2025. So he's sticking around. But as he talked about this, one of the big things he certainly talked about was the fact that being a man in his 80s, that he's not looking to kind of monopolize the space, that he wants to move out the way and make room for the next generation of global leaders. And so this is another perspective in the ongoing conversation about the gerontocracy that we see in our country, where we have, again, folks who are 80 plus years old in some of the most powerful, influential positions in government, in public service. Now, that's one element of this. The other element is that when Mitt Romney, he has a book coming out, and it's called Romney, A Reckoning. And it's like his moment of clarity. And in this book, folks, he's talking about his party not in a very, very loving way at all. He talks about everything from the fact that he sent Mitch McConnell just a couple of days before the January 6th attack on the Capitol, how he told McConnell, make sure you have some security things, because he had conversations with Pentagon officials based on their intelligence that something was going to happen on January 6th. McConnell didn't respond to a text message, and we know what happened. He talks about the new level of growing of young conservatives who have come to the party, not looking to expand, not looking to deepen traditional conservative values, but conservatives who have a disregard for the rule of law. Conservatives who run with Trump, quote unquote, Trumpers. And his great concern and disdain and disgust with this new cadre of Republicans, and so much more. Now, here's the one thing that he did speak about, and I'm very, very happy because, of course, on Fridays, we are always joined by the excellent, the brilliant, the highly capable, my sister, Corinna Denise, who's going to be joining us in a moment. Great culture crew member to give us her insight on this. But one of the things he talked about was the simple fact that he said in his book, a very large portion of my party really doesn't believe in the Constitution. I want you to think about this. This is Mitt Romney. He's been in public service for years. He has been a presidential candidate. He has gone through all of the process. He is at a point in his life where he's looking back and seeing his service, his legacy, but then he's trying to see the future of his party. But he says he truly believes that a very large portion of my party really doesn't believe in the Constitution. For me, folks, this is an indication. This is another piece of writing on the wall that something dramatic may happen, but more importantly, not just may happen, is happening, where we have to have some very serious discussion about the state of democracy in this country. And here's the discussion point. It's not just about the state of democracy. It's really about what is Black America's role? What will be our role? How will we move in this time? If we have a high-ranking Republican official, Republican politician, who says that his own party, the party that's supposed to be about rules and laws, and in some cases about maintaining the integrity of democracy, and he believes that these same individuals do not even believe in the Constitution, do we as Black folks in this country, should we fight to preserve the Constitution, or should we think an alternative way to get and gain political power? Let me throw something else out there, and I'm gonna bring Corinna in. Did you know Mitt Romney revealed this in his book? He revealed that he actually has been thinking, he was thinking about a third party candidate to run in the 2024 election. Did you know that? But he said he chose and decided not to pursue that because he did not want to throw the election to Trump. These are writings on the walls, folks. These are writings on the walls. Let me go to my sister, Corinna Denise. Corinna, how are you this afternoon? Happy Friday, Corinna. How are you?
I'm good, Farajii. How are you? Peace.
Oh, I'm good. I'm good. I'm just trying to, break this thing down. There's a lot to kind of talk about on this, but Mitt Romney, he has he's not always Black America's friend, and I get that. But when certain people say things like, you know what I mean? Like, you got to take people for what they say and how they move, right? But even though I don't always agree with him, I do think that he may be on to something where he talks about what's going on in his own party. He has stood on some level of principle when it comes to what he sees happening or the evolution of the Republican Party. What do you make of his take of that the people in his own party don't believe in the Constitution? Where does that put us as Black folks in this country?
Well, I think he's speaking to something we already know, right? I mean, this isn't surprising news. I do think it's the timing of it all, right? He has a book coming out, and I wonder why he felt that now is the right time to actually share his thoughts, with the American people per se, or the public, right? He's not seeking re-election. I find it ironic him talking about the age thing. And, we were talking about this age thing last week, Farajii. So, I'm raising questions like, is this irony? Is this really something that, you're stepping down? Does this have to do anything considering, what happened with Donald Trump? He was one of a few senators who voted along with the House, to, convict him in the Senate. So I think there are a few things at play here, not just about the age. And I really hope that doesn't fuel the distraction with the president's age that's already happening. But to your question about Black America, I mean, I think this is something we've already known. We didn't need him to tell us. But I'm glad to hear him say it. But, why didn't you say it sooner? I always think they're pretty calculated as to when they decide they would like to share. And now that he's on his way out, okay, I think it's safe now. I can share a little more, right? And of course, the book comes along because everyone has to make a little extra bread, and they're writing their book. They got a lot of time to write books, by the way. Just my thoughts.
Well, some of these books, man, they come out, they come out faster than hip hop albums.
Yeah.
Remember Master P, when Master P was like really putting out all these artists, and you'd be like every 6 months a new album would drop from a Master P's No Limit camp, right? But I mean, they coming out, these political books, some of them catch fire and the other ones just kind of like a bunch of like gossip and whatnot. But I think from this book, and I mean, it's not just about the book, it's about just some of these larger ideas that I put it in there, that there is something inherently happening. And my concern is not just for the country. My concern is for my people.
Oh,
like the fact that, yesterday we talked about the Congressional Black Caucus is having their week of, their conference week next week. We know that. One of the key things that they're going to be discussing is protecting democracy. And I'm thinking about this, and this is the beauty of this platform. I want us to kind of like brainstorm and really think about this. Like, should we be in a space to protect something that and it looks like it's inevitable to fall. Should we be the ones to hold this thing up? And I'm not saying that we should be running in the streets and, doing some madness like what we saw on January the 6th. I'm talking about
we can't do that.
I'm talking about a serious political movement.
Yeah.
If Mitt Romney's talking about, here's a guy who's been in the party for years. He's talking about running a third party. He was thinking about running not as a third party candidate, but getting someone else to run as this conversation.
Considering he's also run for president in the past. We can't.
That's what I'm saying. And that's exactly what I'm saying. That you have a lot of people, and these ain't just small time folks. I know Larry Hogan, the former governor of the state of Maryland, others who are saying like, yo, we need a third party candidate. But when it comes to us, it's still like this, no, we can't move like that. When other people are seeing the writing on the wall, and I'm like, yo, if other people if real insiders are seeing, and I know it's a lot. It's a lot. I know it's a lot.
Can't move like that. It's just we got to have everybody on board. Because again,
that's fine. That's fine. That's fine.
To a third party once we have the collective in order, but until we're voting our numbers, I don't think the conversation about a third party or another party will ever be substantive, because if we're not maximizing our capacity right now or just getting enough of us out to vote right now, what would that look like? Let's say even if we had the third party so that we could win. So
and let me just jump in because I got to take a quick pause. It's not just about the third party as much as it is, to me, about political power. It doesn't have to be a third party candidate, but if the man says that people are not, if you got Republicans, and we don't know which Republicans, a lot of us live in southern states as a people, and these Republicans are controlling southern states. We don't know which Republicans truly believe in the Constitution. So when we have these discussions about rights, freedoms, Vice President Kamala Harris is right now, we're screaming it about talking about protecting our freedoms. When we have those kind of conversations, we got to make sure that we're talking with on the same playing field. You can't come to a morally corrupt individual talking about high values and expect them that's going to appeal to their moral sensibility. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
So I think there's some things.
There's no moral appeal. Rarely.
That's what I'm saying. And there's no moral appeal. And so if there's no moral appeal, we know that. But then now it seems like there's no constitutional appeal. Then how do we get our interests to the forefront? How do we make that progress? I got to take a quick pause. When we come back, more conversation about Mitt Romney with my sister, Corinna Denise, and of course with you. Stay with us. It's The Culture on the Black Star Network.
President Biden has delivered for Black America. More funding for Black entrepreneurs. Millions of new good-paying jobs. He's lowering the cost of medications and the cost of living. Joe Biden is delivering for us, and that's the facts.
Pull up a chair. Take your seat. The Black Tape with me, Dr. Greg Carr, here on the Black Star Network. Every week, we'll take a deeper dive into the world we're living in. Join the conversation only on the Black Star Network.
I'm Farajii Muhammad, live from LA. And this is The Culture. The Culture is a two-way conversation. You and me. We talk about the stories, politics, the good, the bad, and the downright ugly. So join our community every day at 3 p.m. Eastern and let your voice be heard. Hey, we're all in this together. So let's talk about it and see what kind of trouble we can get into. It's The Culture. Weekdays at 3, only on the Black Star Network.
When you talk about blackness and what happens in black culture, we're about covering these things that matter to us, speaking to our issues and concerns.
This is a genuine people-powered movement.
There's a lot of stuff that we're not getting. You get it, and you spread the word.
We wish to plead our own cause. Too long have others spoken for us. We cannot tell our own story if we can't pay for it.
This is about covering us.
Invest in black-owned media.
Your dollars matter. We don't have to keep asking them to cover our stuff. So please support us in what we do, folks.
We want to hit 2,000 people, $50 this month, raise $100,000. We're behind 100,000, so we want to hit that. Y'all money makes this possible.
Check some money orders. Go to P.O. Box 57196, Washington, D.C. 20037-0196. The Cash App is $RM Unfiltered. PayPal is R Martin Unfiltered. Venmo is RM Unfiltered. Zelle is Roland at RolandSMartin.com.
Folks, Black Star Network is here.
Hold no punches. I'm real revolutionary right now.
Support this man, Black Media. He makes sure that our stories are told.
Thank you for being the voice of Black America, Roland.
Stay black. I love y'all.
All momentum we have now, we have to keep this going.
The video looks phenomenal.
See, this difference between Black Star Network and black-owned media and something like CNN.
You can't be black-owned media and be scared.
It's time to be smart.
Bring your eyeballs home.
You dig?
All right, folks, welcome back to The Culture here on the Black Star Network. We are talking about Mitt Romney, and I call it the Romney Reckoning, and based upon his big announcement that he's not seeking re-election, but also based upon a new book that's coming out, Romney, A Reckoning, where he kind of goes deep. He spills some tea about his own Republican Party and some of the top colleagues, for everything from Mitch McConnell to some of the new cadre of Republicans. But one of the big things that folks are talking about is the fact that the senator out of Utah, who registered, and my producer Lisa just made, hey, don't forget to mention that he actually registered as a Democrat when he was running in Massachusetts, but then he switched parties, and after Orrin Hatch had retired, and so he's an opportunist. And I get it. Anastasia, you brought up, I guess this is in response to Pauline, you said, I'm with you. I can spend my money on Roland Martin's book before I purchase Mitt Romney's book. His family also owned slaves, were slave owners. I get it. The man's history, family history, is checkered and all types and controversial. But, and I want to bring my sister Corinna back into this, but Corinna, it does not mean that if he's sounding a warning that we shouldn't listen. Now, here's the thing. Here's why I say that. Because why? You said it in your remarks in the beginning. We know this, but if it's confirmed by somebody who's inside, then what do we supposed to do when we know? Like, what is the duty of those who know? My duty, of course, is to make sure that we all have these conversations as hosts and moderator of these discussions. But more importantly, what is Black America's duty? Like, we can't, I know, and sometimes it's easy for us to listen to certain people and discount everything. But sometimes your worst enemy can spit truth.
Oh my God. Yes. 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 Yes.
Does that mean that it's not the truth because it comes from the mouth of your enemy? No, because the truth stands on its own. But if truth is truth and it stands on its own, and it does,
right,
then we have to adhere to that truth. And more importantly, we have a responsibility to do something about that truth. If we have been feeling like the Republicans or that democracy is in peril, and then it's confirmed by a person who's been in the system, who's a part of the party that is problematic for the country, I'm listening. I'm trying to figure out the writings on the wall.
And I think our responsibility too is to educate, right? And you're getting information from what we listen to, like here on this platform, doing your own research, reading, going online to congress.gov, keeping abreast of all the bills, just every news source that you can think of, and forming an educated view, right? An educated opinion. But to your point, Farajii, to actually hear someone and what we would call right now the opposition actually saying these things, it magnifies it even more, right? That he would actually come out against the very party who's working against us and speak truth to power per se to that. So I hope that would continue to magnify the situation and be like, oh my goodness, this is what Black folks been talking about, and now he's saying it too, and he's in the very opposition. We need to look at that, whether or not he's leaving or not. Now, I don't think anyone's bold enough to actually stay and say these things. You typically see that everyone's a little bit more open, right? When they're like, you know what, I'm not going to run another term. They feel a little bit more comfortable, a little bit more emboldened, no threatening from, their base turning against them, especially with the election. And we know, especially with Donald Trump, if you're not for him, he's going to take you down and make an enemy out of you very quickly. So, these are definitely factors we all have to consider. But yeah, it definitely stands out, him saying this. But I also want to add in too, I saw Lana L, I saw your comment, sis, and I just want to speak to that real quick. She asked, why do I think that Black folks don't maximize our capacity or our vote? So let me, make very clear what I meant by that. I mean collectively as a whole, everyone in all of these 50 states across the country and as a whole, because there are pocket areas where we could definitely, maximize our vote, but we have not. And I'm going to take it back to last week when I mentioned Brother Gary Chambers in Louisiana. He ran for a House seat. Then he ran for the Senate and he lost. He has some fire ads. He was working diligently, going around in the community. We saw him getting a lot of pushback from, reps in the Louisiana legislature itself. He did the math showing the numbers where Black people are actually located, and they didn't show up for him. And so now Senator John Kennedy, a racist, he's still in that seat because we didn't turn out. So that's what I'm speaking to, Lana and crew, when I'm saying there are other areas that we haven't maximized our capacity. Now, you see those white folks? They turned it out. Especially here.
But here's the question, though. And I'm glad that you responded to Lana, because Lana, sis, I appreciate you as always, because you bring that fire, you bring the enthusiasm we need. But here's the thing, though, and I think Lana can appreciate this question a lot. How long are Black folks going to hold up this system? How long are we going to ask ourselves the question, what is going to be our new political future? In this space, I'm not talking about going back to Africa. I'm not talking about moving to Canada. I'm talking about in America. What is going to be, what do we look like? What does our future look like? Because I think in order to vote, you have to have hope. And I'm not trying to sound, Dr. Seuss like that.
No, I hear you.
But in order to vote, you have to, the prerequisite of the vote is faith. The prerequisite of voting is having hope in a system, right? To some degree. We all are being, because why take the time to
hope in a system? I have hope in us, and I have hope in our people. I have hope in my agency.
We all got hope in the system, though, Corinna.
Yeah,
we got hope in the system.
I think
and here's why. Go ahead.
To study this system so we can change this system. I think that's where our hope is, but not the actual system itself. And until we actually change out who's facilitating these processes in the system, then we can't truly have any faith in the system. And something else too, I'm just remembering the conversation from last week. Just real quick, Faraj, with the voting thing.
Yeah.
I think our language is really important here, because we were mentioning, what can we do besides voting? And I know what you meant, right? Because you had to make it clear, like, look, folks, I do vote. Don't think I don't cast my ballot. You do.
Right,
but I think we have to reframe that, okay, because voting is foundational, right? So voting And then in addition to voting, we must protest. In addition to voting, we must lobby. In addition to voting, we must organize. In addition to voting, we must get involved in our organizations, make them better, right? In addition to voting, we need to consider running for public office ourselves, right? Because when we hear besides, everyone's perception is different. So it's kind of like almost eliminating, well, we did A, and besides A, now we're going to go do B, rather than saying, well, in addition to A, we also need to do B.
But can I just jump in there? Because the nuance you just pointed out is a new nuance. Let me just say that again. The nuance you just pointed out is a new nuance. That is what you're speaking of comes from a more active, enlightened understanding of our role in the system, right? But I'm saying to us that traditionally, probably even up to this very moment, we have all been conditioned to believe if I cast my vote, then change is going to happen. Not if I cast my vote, then
all of us have been conditioned to believe that, or do you?
No. I mean, those of us who are active participants, those of us who vote, we believe something. We believe in the system to do something. Otherwise, what's the point? You see what I'm saying? Like even I vote for certain candidates. Whoever my candidate is, I'm like, yes, okay. I see something in this person enough to make me want to add to putting them into that position, right? And that's what. Yeah, go ahead.
Let me ask you this:
Sure.
How do you think that is for the opposition per se? What makes them hopeful to vote for a candidate? Because especially those white folks who will vote, their whiteness no matter what, they don't care about them they don't care that they have teeth falling out, that they got poor health care, but they play on their emotions. And that's how they pass their agenda. So they get them out there to vote and to believe in the system, quote unquote, as we say. So what's the disconnection on our side that, they'll go out and cast?
I think the big disconnection is that we have been oppressed. That's a different experience.
Mm-hmm.
That's a different experience. Like, think about this, and very shortly, and I know we got to move, take another quick pause, but think about this. We were enslaved as a people in this country, yet we still advocate to be a part of the system that oppressed us. It's not now. Even when there were moments in our history where we would say, this ain't it.
Yeah.
How is it that a vast majority, and I'm just saying a majority of us still say, nah, this is it. We just got to have a different relationship. Because once you start talking about the idea of removing this system of things, of democracy or capitalism, whatever the system is, right? It really unnerves a lot of Black people, man. And I've had these conversations with individuals and groups. We aren't always in for that complete revolutionary change. We would rather, and this is human behavior, I think, more than anything. It's much easier for us to make incremental changes than it is for us to make dramatic changes. You see what I'm saying? It's like when you experience death in a family. It's a little bit easier if the person that passes away in your family has gone through a long bout, hospitalization, that whole process, and then they pass away versus they just go, you get a phone call and they gone.
You've had time to process what's to come.
You see what I'm saying? But so we're at a place now, and I think this is what this is why I'm bringing up this Romney quote of the fact that we are at a place now where we really do have to have some different conversations about our relationship with democracy. What does that mean? Our different conversations about our relationship with government. You see what I'm saying? Because
and how government and democracy impact our lives, and we need to be defining democracy.
Because guess what? Very quickly, and we're going to have some bigger conversations. I just don't have enough time today, but there is the Constitution, which in some people are now saying is at the source of the problem, because the Constitution really emphasizes minority control over the majority. That's what some folks are saying because of the electoral college system, right? So you still got the majority. We can do the popular vote thing, but the electoral college still determines who's the president.
And the electoral college,
right? So people are saying that's how Trump was able to kind of worm his way into the system, because he knows that he can speak to the electoral college and not think about the masses of the people. You see what I'm saying? So now people are saying, well, maybe it's the Constitution. So if the Constitution is problematic for our growing interests and needs, then we're now at a space, and you got a man like a Mitt Romney saying the people that the Republicans don't believe the Constitution and all of this stuff, and we're seeing their pushback against the Constitution. Then should Black people in America put faith and hope that the Constitution is going to usher in freedom, justice, and equality for us?
Well, real quick, because I know we got to go to break. We have to recognize that the Constitution has always and always will be a flawed document. Otherwise, we wouldn't have all of these amendments. It's just that simple and logical to me. All of these amendments to the Constitution, and has anything actually been applied within the Constitution, right? It's always been manipulated or twisted, using it to their advantage. So we have to ask ourselves, why did these quote unquote founding fathers, I'm just saying that for context here, I don't see them as my founding father, or for our people for that matter, right? But why did they come up with these concepts, right? Why put in place an electoral college, right? You want to have some sort of control. And again, Farajii, I think the country has been revealing itself. It's no longer hiding in plain sight, yet never seen. Everyone's seeing it now, especially since the start of this pandemic. All those layers are coming off to show we have never had a true democracy, but we can have it. It's just that, are we willing to step up and dismantle it and build it back together?
And see, now that's a different conversation. You don't like my music, you say the Constitution wasn't written in stone for a reason. Yep, Jamel Bowie from the New York Times said today, the Constitution is a malleable document. It means that its shape takes shape. It did not get into the specifics of certain things because no one knew that America was, at the time, the founding fathers didn't think that America would get in the place that it's in today, where you have a criminal running for president and you had all of these contradictions, right? So nobody thought about that. Cindy, you said the bottom line is, do we want democracy or fascism? 2024 is the most important election of our lives. We have to vote blue. If Trump gets back in there, democracy is over. Let me just do a nice national. Let me do a news alert. Cindy, democracy is already falling. The experiment is already in trouble. It's already on shaky ground and foundation. So at this point,
Cindy is speaking to, though, is that it's going to be done. Because
here's the thing, though. Here's the thing. Trumpers are still a minority. They're still a minority.
They're still a minority?
I mean, yes, people appeal to it, but it's not to the point. And I'm talking about die-hard Trumpers. If you see how he's moving, that number is growing smaller and smaller. But again, because our government, and I think part of it is because our government is in the place of minority rules the majority, it's a little bit easier to take the few, right? If you have a few here and a few there.
They're working so hard. That's why we see
I know, I get it.
Young white men in their 30s, okay,
I gotta take a break.
Lifetime appointments on the federal bench, Farajii.
And I get it, and I totally agree. I'm just saying we really do need to have some nuance, back to your point, some nuanced conversations about our role. Our role can't be, do we want to preserve this thing? Do we want to, like you say, dismantle this thing? Like, what do we want to do, not just in 24, but 25, 26, 27, in the years to come, God willing that we will be around? What do we want to do? What is going to be our relationship? If the Constitution is not being adhered to, if laws are not being upheld, if freedoms and rights are being negated, then where does that put Black people in this country? All
We
right, I
need
got to
more
take a quick
legislators
pause.
that look like us in those positions. That's what needs to happen.
All right. Look, I got to take a quick pause. When we come back, let's shift gears. Let's talk about investing in children and youth of Baltimore. Stay with us. It's The Culture here on the Black Star Network.
On his first day in office, with the country in crisis, President Biden got to work for us. Cutting Black child poverty in half, more money for Black entrepreneurs, millions of new, good-paying jobs. He's lowered the cost of living and prescription drugs. But there's more to do. He gets it because we all deserve dignity, safety, respect, and a chance to do more than just get by, but to get ahead.
I'm Joe Biden, and I approve this message.
When you talk about blackness and what happens in Black culture, we're about covering these things that matter to us, speaking to our issues and concerns.
This is a genuine people-powered movement.
There's a lot of stuff that we're not getting. You get it, and you spread the word.
We wish to plead our own cause. Too long have others spoken for us. We cannot tell our own story if we can't pay for it. This is about covering us. Invest in Black-owned media. Your dollars matter. We don't have to keep asking them to cover our stuff. So please support us in what we do, folks. We want to hit 2,000 people, $50 this month, raise $100,000. We're behind 100,000, so we want to hit that. Y'all money makes this possible. Check some money orders. Go to P.O. Box 57196, Washington, D.C. 20037-0196. The Cash App is $RM Unfiltered. PayPal is R Martin Unfiltered. Venmo is RM Unfiltered. Zelle is Roland@RolandSMartin.com.
I'm Farajii Muhammad, live from LA. And this is The Culture. The Culture is a two-way conversation. You and me. We talk about the stories, politics, the good, the bad, and the downright ugly. So join our community every day at 3 p.m. Eastern and let your voice be heard. Hey, we're all in this together. So let's talk about it and see what kind of trouble we can get into. It's The Culture. Weekdays at 3, only on the Black Star Network.
Folks, Black Star Network is here.
Oh, no punches! I'm real revolutionary right now.
Support this man, Black media. He makes sure that our stories are told.
Thank you for being the voice of Black America, Roland.
I love y'all.
All momentum we have now, we have to keep this going.
The video looks phenomenal.
See, this difference between Black Star Network and Black-owned media and something like CNN.
You can't be Black-owned media and be scared.
It's time to be smart.
Bring your eyeballs home.
You dig?
All right, folks, welcome back to The Culture here on the Black Star Network. I'm your host, Farajii Muhammad. We are streaming live, folks, on a number of different platforms, and we invite you to join us. We are streaming live on our home network of blackstarnetwork.com. Just go to our website today, download the app for free, follow us on social media, and be prepared to engage your brain and to be informed. So we invite you to support us here at Black Star Network, but just go to our website today. We're also streaming live on Amazon News, on your Fire TV, and on Plex TV. And you can find us on Amazon and Plex 24 hours a day and 7 days a week. Plus, we're streaming on social media platforms of Facebook and YouTube, and it's on YouTube where you can find our online culture crew, that dynamic group of folks from around the country and some parts of the world that engage in the conversations while we're talking with you, or rather to you, we're talking with you. And this is the only place that you'll find that level of engagement. So be a part of our culture crew today. Go to Roland Martin's YouTube page and we'll do our due diligence to recognize your thoughts. All right, folks, let's talk about investing in the next generation. This is something that one organization, one institution in the city of Baltimore is planning to do, and we're very, very happy to talk to them about the latest efforts to support young entrepreneurs, youth-led projects that are affecting Baltimore in a positive, major way. We're talking about Baltimore Children and Youth Fund, and we want to first kick off the conversation talking to the president of BCYF, Miss Alicia Lee. Miss Lee, good afternoon, and I apologize, Miss Lee, for taking too long. Gosh.
I'm so happy to be back here with you. We have so much to share, so much to celebrate, things happening here in your hometown. Here in
Yes. And let me just say, sometimes it gets like that because Corinna Denise be on here and we start talking politics and revolution.
I was loving it. Yeah,
My sister Corinna Denise still with us, who is a college advisor and advocate and activist out of the Miami, Florida area. So Corinna, we want to see your face as well. But Lisa, let's talk about the work that you're doing, Baltimore Children, Youth and Family, Baltimore Children and Youth Fund. Talk to us about this fund, and you got some special guests joining us, right?
Absolutely. We have some of the most incredible people in Baltimore are in our community at BCYF. BCYF is a unique fund in the country in that our city voted in 2016 to create a fund using public dollars and putting those dollars into the hands of community to determine where they go. So this is all about self-determination and agency for Black people in Baltimore City. So we are so honored to be working on behalf of the youth development sector in Baltimore City. We're talking about hundreds and thousands of folks who are working directly with young people every day to create solution-oriented opportunities for young people to thrive. And so we have dispersed since 2020, $23 million into Baltimore City, directly into the hands of mostly Black and Brown-led organizations. Our 2022 grantee cohort, our organizations, 89% of them are led by Black and Brown people. And so this is really exciting. This is the opportunity for the community who determines where our grant dollars go to set the priorities for grant making of a major institution, and then for the grant dollars to go to support Black and Brown people as they work directly with our greatest asset in Baltimore City, the young people and youth of the city. So we're really excited to be here today to share the stories and to introduce two of our grantees who are doing incredible work with young people. So Baltimore and the state of Maryland issued some reports this week about the violence. Yes, youth crime has gone down, but what we've seen is violence towards young people has increased. And so we're really trying to be prescriptive towards that. And we're here as BCYF to say that there are already folks on the case. There are already people in our communities who are dedicated and have dedicated themselves in some cases for decades to supporting young people and providing opportunities. And they've done that in with scarcity. And so BCYF is here to introduce the opportunity that our city has said through voting that we want these organizations to be able to dwell in abundance and to have the resources they need. So we're betting on them. We're investing in them. We're investing in these institutions, these small organizations, these Black-led organizations to help our young people get to where they want to go.
So very quickly, before we take we share with folks the grantee, and I know Corinna, you probably definitely got some questions and some thoughts on this. I would love to hear what you got to say for this. But do you think, Elisa, that we need to create a model like this in other cities and other states, BCYF, where there's some dedicated money that is allocated for youth-led projects, for youth investment like this? Why aren't we seeing this model being duplicated in other parts or other states around the country?
I think it's very simple. Only 2% of philanthropic dollars nationally are really placed in the hands of Black people. So Black-led organizations only get about 2% of the dollars that are even available nationally.
Dang.
We are not used to, this is a shout out to the sector, the philanthropic sector, to say, how are we going to make transformation occur? And one of the ways that BCYF, a strategy that we use is by putting the grant making decision power in the hands of the community. we have to allow and also hold philanthropic folks accountable for the fact that decisions are made about where resources go in communities by people who don't live there, who don't know the problems firsthand. And so, we know that the best solutions come from the people closest to the problem, not the folks looking from 1,000 miles.
Hey, can you say that for the people in the chat? Because Corinna and I, we know that.
We know this, right?
No, but seriously, like, say that one more time. No, seriously, because I think people need to just like let that marinate. Not to say that the culture crew, they understand these dynamics, but for those who are just tuning into the show and they're like, what? Wait a minute, what did she just say? Because that's the exact position of opportunity and empowerment that Black folks are in, but we don't see it as opportunity in a way for us to be empowered. We see it as being problems. So share that with us again.
Like your lived experience as an asset. I love that. That's good to think about. The people with the any problem, especially social problems that are complicated and long-standing, any problem or issue is best solved. In fact, the solution can only be found from the people that are closest to experiencing it. And while there is validity to seeing a problem from, a 360,000 foot view, right, in terms of offering perspective, that's your position there is in partnership, not in solution, and not in determining solutions. So I really want to invite folks to think about that. If we believe that, which we do, and it sounds like y'all do too, if we believe that too, then when we are taking philanthropic dollars that for the most part, our dollars are public dollars, but for the most part, philanthropic dollars come from oppressive places, right? Folks got rich off of the backs of other people. Those descendants of those people are in the communities that now need help and assistance. So deploy the dollars where they need to go. Let communities decide what's important here and how we want to solve our own problems. And that's restoring dignity to the process. So we're really at BCYF that's a part of the ways that we work. And we are also excited about continuing to think about ways that our work can be even more transformative and liberatory. So all
right, we got to take a quick pause. When we come back, Corinna, Elisa, I want us to have a conversation with these powerful grantees of this fund. Folks, we are talking about investing in children and youth of Baltimore and how it could possibly serve as a model for other cities and states around the country. Stay with us. The conversation continues on the other side, right here on The Culture on the Black Star Network.
On his first day in office, with the country in crisis, President Biden got to work for us. Cutting Black child poverty in half, more money for Black entrepreneurs, millions of new, good-paying jobs. He's lowered the cost of living and prescription drugs. But there's more to do. He gets it because we all deserve dignity, safety, respect, and a chance to do more than just get by, but to get ahead.
I'm Joe Biden, and I approve this message.
When you talk about Blackness and what happens in Black culture, we're about covering these things that matter to us, speaking to our issues and concerns.
This is a genuine people-powered movement.
There's a lot of stuff that we're not getting. You get it, and you spread the word.
We wish to plead our own cause. Too long have others spoken for us. We cannot tell our own story if we can't pay for it.
This is about covering us.
Invest in Black-owned media.
Your dollars matter. We don't have to keep asking them to cover our stuff. So please support us in what we do, folks. We want to hit 2,000 people, $50 this month, raise $100,000. We're behind 100,000, so we want to hit that. Y'all money makes this possible. Check some money orders. Go to P.O. Box 57196, Washington, D.C. 20037-0196. The Cash App is $RM Unfiltered. PayPal is R Martin Unfiltered. Venmo is RM Unfiltered. Zelle is Roland at RolandSMartin.com.
I'm Farajii Muhammad, live from LA. And this is The Culture. The Culture is a two-way conversation. You and me. We talk about the stories, politics, the good, the bad, and the downright ugly. So join our community every day at 3 p.m. Eastern and let your voice be heard. Hey, We're all in this together. So let's talk about it and see what kind of trouble we can get into. It's The Culture, weekdays at 3, only on the Black Star Network.
Folks, Black Star Network is here.
Oh, no punches! I'm real revolutionary right now.
Support this man, Black Media. He makes sure that our stories are told.
Thank you for being the voice of Black America, Roland.
Stay black. I love y'all. All momentum we have now, we have to keep this going.
The video looks phenomenal.
See, this difference between Black Star Network and black-owned media and something like CNN.
You can't be black-owned media and be scared.
It's time to be smart.
Bring your eyeballs home.
You dig?
All right, folks, welcome back to The Culture here on the Black Star Network. We've been checking in with Ms. Elisa Lee, who serves as the president for the Baltimore Children and Youth Fund, an institution in Baltimore City that invests and makes sure that they're creating opportunities for young youth-led projects, young people that want to do fantastic things in a community, and to push the conversation forward about the importance of youth leadership. Elisa, you have some grantees of your fund that you want to just kind of highlight a little bit today. Who are these grantees?
Yeah, so we're excited to introduce and just to hear more about their beautiful work. 2 new grantees, so they're joining our grant making community. And in Baltimore, we say we've got the most exciting people in Baltimore are in our roster here. So we're so excited to have them join our community. So we've got Saran Fawcett here. And she is with Aziza Peace. Oh, hello. And we also have Jan Pinckney with Sarah's House. And I'm going to let them take it away. Let's Saran to hear from you first about your work and the incredible work you do with young people in Baltimore City.
Hey, good afternoon. I'm Saran.
Good afternoon.
And I am the executive director and chief change maker here at Aziza Peace. And this is...
I am Sean Lemon. I'm the Director of Self-Love and Solidarity here at Aziza Peace.
And at Aziza Peace, we use fashion, fitness, arts, music, entertainment, and education to address social determinants of health, social and emotional development, life and critical thinking skills development, and young people, especially Black girls and LGBT youth, pretty much at the age of 13 to 25. And we've been doing this for 15 years now.
Fantastic. And I want to bring in Corinna. I wanted you to pose any questions that you might have as we have in this. But Saran and Sean, first, welcome to The Culture here on the Black Star Network. Talk to us about what does this mean to be able to be a recipient of this grant from BCYF, and more importantly, how you plan to use those funds to further your work.
So to start, I want to say that when Baltimore City Youth Fund originally started, we were funded in 2018 to 19, and it took our program literally from 0 to 100, literally. Like we could not have had the impact that we have had without that. We managed to do it with nothing like our people do. But giving us the amount of money that they gave us that 1 year definitely shifted the trajectory of this program. And we're forever grateful. And then the following year, it continued. So for BCYF to pour into us again at this level, it's game changing for us because it is a grant that continues year after year. And one thing we know that we need continuity in funding, because we can't create impact with worry of, we have money this year, but we don't have money next year. So we intend to continue the work and heighten our impact and our growth in the city. We want to reach more young people and their parents.
That's awesome. And Sean, talk to us about your role as Director of Self-Love and Solidarity. I want to know, did you sign up for that position?
Let me tell you, I not only signed up for it, I created it. I
There
created
you go. Okay.
I mean, if you must know, like it's the vibe. It's the vibe that we create. It's the energy that we create within the environment. So first you have to love yourself. So I am a stickler for showing love to myself and showing other people how to love themselves first. In order for you to just be able to love other people, and then continue that within our community as a unit. So that's what my position embodies. Thank you for asking about that, though.
No, because I was trying to figure out if Corinna could serve as the Director of Self-Love and Solidarity for our show.
She can.
So what is one of the things, because we often talk about this, Sean and Saran, but Sean, what is one of the big things that, I mean, as this role, like, how do we start the process of getting young people, especially Black youth, to love themselves again, to get into a space where they see themselves as valuable?
So one, our biggest thing here is to allow them to use their voices. There are so many places that they are not allowed to use their voices in the most respectful, positive way. I think that one of those things that we do here is we allow them to do that. We don't shame them, we don't judge them, we don't, if we're telling them no, we're telling them no for a reason. We are always being authentic within everything that we show them, everything that we give them, everything that we provide for them. We're most authentic selves, and that's what we try to teach them here, to be your most authentic self. And when those moments are not your best moments, that is who you are. So just teaching them how to just become themselves and learn who they are.
Awesome. Corinna, what's your take on that?
Oh man, well, thank you for the compliment, by the way, Farajii. That's
I think you can take that role. I think you can take that role, Corinna.
And sis, I want to speak to when you said, "Oh, I created it." Like, I love that. How innovative that you took the time to like create and cultivate this role. And I think it's so amazing that this grant program is actually renewable, right? I'm kind of going through some of the for 3 years. Yeah, I'm going through some of the grant processes right now. A lot of folks here in the culture know I'm a part of an organization based here in South Florida called the Scholarship Plug, and we're still fairly new, and we're trying to apply for grants. And a lot of things that we've come across are like one time, you're competing with a plethora of other organizations. So a lot of the grants here, they're not specifically tailored to youth and children with that emphasis. So it kind of, since it has that focus, you kind of feel like there's maybe less competition per se, that there's actually a chance. And I would imagine a great weight is lifted off the shoulders off of those boards of directors for your organizations if you're a recipient, because okay, guaranteed next year and the year after this grant is renewable, and I actually have a little bit more time to acquire more funding to keep everything going with the organization. So I think that's something that really sets apart this grant initiative in the city of Baltimore alone. But I'd like to ask the ladies quickly with your organization, what's your process look like? How do you recruit children and youth to be a part of your program? Are you going into schools, neighborhoods? Like, what do you do to drive membership and to get kids interested and get into your organization?
Great question. So we've been around a minute, and our retention rate is high. It's like AP is a family. So they actually bring each other here at this point. We don't have to do a lot of recruitment, but we serve in school during the day, after school, and we're a summer program. So the relationships that we start with these young people don't stop. We literally have group chats. They talk to us all hours of the night and day. They do not know boundaries. Let's be clear about that. We don't mind. We don't mind. So we pretty much let them be the voice of how they want to invite people into their home, because this is their home. And we do let guidance counselors, administrators suggest young people. We never want to be the space that young people feel like they're forced to be in. This is for them and it's about them. So we pretty much do it very organically, very much so.
That is awesome. That is awesome.
Mamas.
What'd you say?
All right, mama like. It's two mamas right here.
Oh, I got you. I got you. Anytime a black women come up in a space, you know, I have to listen to Corinna when she comes on the show. So, that's just what it is, you know what I'm saying? It's just what it is. Look, sisters, we got to take a quick pause. When we come forward, at least I want to hear from your other grantee, Jan, as we continue the conversation about investing in children and youth of Baltimore. Folks, stay with us. More discussion about how we can do more to make sure the next generation is in a better place, right here on The Culture on the Black Star Network.
On his first day in office, with the country in crisis, President Biden got to work for us. Cutting Black child poverty in half, more money for Black entrepreneurs, millions of new, good-paying jobs. He's lowered the cost of living and prescription drugs. But there's more to do. He gets it because we all deserve dignity, safety, respect, and a chance to do more than just get by, but to get ahead.
I'm Joe Biden, and I approve this message.
Pull up a chair, take your seat. The Black Tape with me, Dr. Greg Carr, here on the Black Star Network. Every week, we'll take a deeper dive into the world we're living in. Join the conversation only on the Black Star Network.
I'm Farajii Muhammad, live from LA. And this is The Culture. The Culture is a two-way conversation. You and me. We talk about the stories, politics, the good, the bad, and the downright ugly. So join our community every day at 3 p.m. Eastern and let your voice be heard. Hey, we're all in this together. So let's talk about it and see what kind of trouble we can get into. It's The Culture, weekdays at 3, only on the Black Star Network.
When you talk about blackness and what happens in Black culture, we're about covering these things that matter to us, speaking to our issues and concerns.
This is a genuine people-powered movement.
There's a lot of stuff that we're not getting. You get it, and you spread the word.
We wish to plead our own cause. Too long have others spoken for us. We cannot tell our own story if we can't pay for it. This is about covering us. Invest in Black-owned media. Your dollars matter. We don't have to keep asking them to cover our stuff. So please support us in what we do, folks. We want to hit 2,000 people, $50 this month, raise $100,000. We're behind 100,000, so we want to hit that. Y'all money makes this possible. Checks and money orders go to P.O. Box 57196, Washington, D.C. 20037-0196. The Cash App is $RM Unfiltered. PayPal is R Martin Unfiltered. Venmo is RM Unfiltered. Zelle is Roland at RolandSMartin.com. Folks, Black Star Network is here.
No punches. I'm real revolutionary right now.
Support this man, Black Media. He makes sure that our stories are told.
Thank you for being the voice of Black America, Roland.
I love y'all. All momentum we have now, we have to keep this going.
The video looks phenomenal.
See, this difference between Black Star Network and Black-owned media and something like CNN.
You can't be Black-owned media and be scared.
It's time to be smart. Bring your eyeballs home.
You dig?
All right, folks, welcome back to The Culture here on the Black Star Network. We've been checking in with Elisa Lee, who serves as the president of the Baltimore Children and Youth Fund, which is an organization that's doing its part to support and invest in the next generation. We've been talking to some of the grantees of this fund, And we've been talking to some of the great sisters of Aziza Peace, Saran Fawcett, who serves as the executive director, and Sean Lemon, who serves as a role that I'm going to create just for the show, called Director of Self-Love and Solidarity. There we go. So we've been, these are two dynamic sisters that are doing fantastic work, especially those young people who are part of the LGBTQ community in the city of Baltimore. I want to give, for a few more moments, we want to bring in Jan. Is that correct, Elisa?
That's right. We're gonna bring up Jan Pickney. I do want to say about Aziza Peace that in the community grant review process a year ago, the community said, where are all the LGBTQ plus programs? So, we are responding to them. They said, we know young people that are in that community need extra supports. Where are the programs that are centering their experience? So we're so thrilled to be able to work again with Aziza Peace this year and for the next 3 years. And another main priority from the community is about wellness and being well by doing. And so we're so thrilled to have Sarah's House, and Jan Pinkney is here as the president of Sarah's House. And Jan, will you just share with us about your incredible work in the community?
Oh, thanks for having me. Just a great opportunity. My name is Jan Pinkney. I'm the president of Sarah's House, Inc. We actually started out as a foster care program. Well, I'll go back. Sarah's House was actually founded by my godfather and mentor, Mr. Ronnie Wooten. The lady you see behind me, her name is Sarah Wooten. He named Sarah's House after her in her honor. He said she did a great job of raising him and siblings, the guidance, the rearing, the love, the nurturing. And so he wanted to open up something in her honor. He had retired from being a social worker after 30 years working between Baltimore and Washington, D.C. And so it was around like 2000, he had kind of got on this journey of opening up a foster care program. He saw that there was a gap and there was a need for young people. And so the vision was to open up a program that provided a safe and nurturing home for young men between the ages of 15 and 20. I had no idea that that's what I would be doing. I had just kind of, and anyone who's in the helping profession understands is that, you're not really, I don't know many people who chose to do this. We're kind of chosen, and so I'm glad that he accepted me. I did not ignore, what my calling is. And, I did that from 2002 to 2017, working as the program director and eventually program administrator of Sarah's House, Inc. foster care program. Fast forward, I kind of stepped into the for-profit world offering behavioral health services here in Baltimore, Maryland. I was doing that from 2017 to still doing some of that present. But during COVID, with a lot of the loss that we had, and there was a lot of, we experienced a lot of trauma, some good came out of it. During that time, I was introduced to a group by a colleague and said, okay, this group is meeting and they're discussing the building out of integrated youth mental health program. And so I met it, and when I met with them, I really kind of fell in love with the idea because it spoke directly to what I was feeling in my soul. Somehow, and I don't know how, helping people, and I'm just speaking from Baltimore, somehow helping people in Baltimore has become a competitive industry, and I think, I think sometimes, there's a lot of discussion right now, in the local news cycle, where we're talking about, okay, what steps are we taking as far as criminal justice to engage when we engage in these young people? But I don't hear a lot of talk about support, and so I think, what I'm working on, I think, is timely. I'm so thankful and appreciative to BCYF. They're the first believers. I'm hoping this is not the last time they believe. And my plan is to over deliver and make them proud. But what we're working on right now is an integrated youth mental health center.
And you said integrated youth mental health center, Brother Jan. What does that mean? What is that? And I know we only have a few moments left, but give us a snapshot of what that looks like.
Where young people have choice, young people share in the vision of what the place looks like, what the services look like, where we train and hire them to be peer support workers. Sometimes, when we talk about mental health, just because you're having an issue doesn't necessarily mean you need to be diagnosed. Sometimes you need a place to pause. Sometimes you need someone to talk to. Sometimes you need see what community supports. And so creating a safe space, a no judgment space where young people feel supported, where they feel nurtured, but where they have choice and say so in what those services look like. Poor people put up the least resistance, and so what happens often is that service are just given or applied to people without them having any say so. And so we want to create spaces, and and part of it will be socializing them to this space of having choice. Some of them have never had choice when dealing with systems or entities and things like that. And so we want to socialize them and train them to have choice, utilize their voice, learn these skills, and so they could take it back to their peers, families, homes, and communities.
That is awesome, brother. That is awesome. Elisa, I know our time has been certainly well spent, and I'm so happy to hear about both of these programs. Talk to us about the next step in the next, we got about 30 seconds. So give us the layout. What's the next steps? How can folks be supportive of both Sarah's House and Aziza Peace at this point?
Absolutely. Well, just a reminder as well, BCYF is honored to partner with 101 organizations. These are folks that have beautiful stories of triumph and beautiful stories of overcoming. But they're also folks, for the most part, that are working with a lot of room for us as a city and as a nation to support them. There's still a lot of space for folks to come in. So there's two ways you can support BCYF. One is you can donate directly to BCYF. You can also volunteer with BCYF. We have board seats, plenty of volunteer opportunity. 100% of our board are also Black folks. So we're looking for folks to join us in this movement to support these organizations so that they can live and thrive with abundance. So join us and let's resource them so that they can do their incredible work.
There it is, Elisa Lee. I want to thank the good sisters of Aziza Peace, Saran and Sean. Thank you. And Brother Jan, we certainly got to have more conversation with you. Trust me, we're working on a big project. So sounds like you would be a great fit for what we're trying to do as we have these bigger conversations about Black men and families and rebuilding the community. So I thank each and every one of you. Corinna, what's your final remarks to our wonderful guests here today?
Sorry, guys, I was on mute. Thank you for sharing your stories. It was very insightful. Man, I wish we had something like that here in Florida. Maybe I need to move to the DMV area. Who knows?
Maybe.
Thank you for sharing your stories. Yes, I love that you mentioned that, you have those open volunteer seats and board seats. I think it speaks to how much these organizations need more of us to be a part of them, so that we can make this difference in our communities and get the words out that these grant programs and initiatives are available to keep these organizations and our youth thriving. So thank you for sharing with us today.
Absolutely. Elisa, Jan, Saran, Sean, thank you so much for the great work. But most importantly, thank you for being so good for the culture. Thank you, Elisa. We truly appreciate you, and we will reconnect with you soon.
Awesome. Thank you so much for having us.
Absolutely. All right, folks, we got to take another quick pause. When we come up, let's talk about how a Black woman is just killing the game in the space of technology and communications. We're going to be checking in with Miss Nicole Nixon and how she is the first Black CEO of a major telecom data company. Woo! Always killing it. Always taking the culture further. We're going to have that conversation up next. Stay with us. It's The Culture here on the Black Star Network. All right.
Pull up a chair, take your seat. The Black Tape with me, Dr. Greg Carr, here on the Black Star Network. Every week, we'll take a deeper dive into the world we're living in. Join the conversation only on the Black Star Network.
Black Star Network is here.
Oh, no punch! I'm real revolutionary right now.
Thank you for being the voice of Black America.
All momentum we have now, we have to keep this going.
The video looks phenomenal.
See, there's a difference between Black Star Network and Black-owned media and something like CNN.
You can't be Black-owned media and be scared.
It's time to be smart.
Bring your eyeballs home.
You dig?
right, folks, welcome back to the Culture here on the Black Star Network. I'm your host, Farajii Muhammad, joined by Culture Crew member, college advisor, all around good sister, Corinna Denise. And we got our final guest today, Miss Nicole Nixon, who's the first Black woman CEO of a telecom data company called Listing Central LLC. She's a subject matter expert who is enhancing the security of consumer data nationwide and globally. And because she's a Black woman and she's killing the game, she will be honored as a 2023 Woman to Watch in Tech by the Women in Cable and Telecommunications Network on September 18th in New York City. Corinna, you know something about New York? I know you're down in
I only
Manhattan.
lived there for 7 years, you know. I'm from Brooklyn, but I'm a New Yorker through and through. So yes, I know Brooklyn.
Yes, you are. So welcome to the show, Nicole. Thank you so much for your patience. How are you feeling this afternoon?
I am so excited to be here. Thank you for having me. I lived in Baltimore County, so I feel like I've been hearing nothing but
That's right.
family conversations on
That's right.
line today. But no, I'm truly excited just to be able to hang with my people. So I'm doing
To hang with your people.
Yeah.
This is what we do on Black Star Network. We hang, we build, we politicize.
No, and I'm so glad you guys have this show today. I mean, it's just amazing how the universe works because I was one of the young people that everyone has been talking about. You know, just to kind of share part of my story with you guys.
Please, by all means.
I'm from the Eastern Shore of Maryland. I currently live in Northern Virginia, but I'm from the Eastern Shore of Maryland, Easton, Maryland to be exact. And when I graduated from high school, I went to college, University of Maryland, Eastern Shore. But right before going to college, I had met my husband, who's my then boyfriend. And I became a mom, a single mom at a very early age. As soon as I started college, I had my first son. 2 years later, I had my second son. So I had to drop out of college. So I figured, okay, well, in order for me to take care of my children, I need to work for the government or the phone company. And the phone company won. So I ended up becoming a customer service rep at Bell Atlantic, which is now Verizon. But keeping in mind, you know, coming from an underserved area, you know, my self-esteem was very low because I'm a preacher's kid. So I had 2 kids. I wasn't married. And so I had the eyes looking at me. So my head was down. And here I am at this corporation, not even knowing a lot about this world. But I knew now that I'm a mom, I just wanted to be a great parent. I wanted to be a great mom. And so when I got to the phone company, 6 months into working at Verizon, they asked for volunteers for a project. And all of the senior reps, you know, they said, hey, are we getting more money? They said, no. They said, we get more time off? No. They said, well, we don't want to do it. But I said, no, I'll do it. I said, this gives me an opportunity to learn. So I felt like if I couldn't finish college, Verizon was going to be my college. And so what they needed me to do for this project that I volunteered for, they were trying to create something called automation. I didn't even know what the word meant, but I figured, hey, if it could help me better me, why not? And so they put me in a conference room with a computer and said, listen, we have hundreds of thousands of errors we need to figure out in order to achieve automation. I said, okay, you know, that whole term, fake it till you make it. Okay, sure, I'll help you. They said, okay, well, let us know when you figure it out. So I'm sitting at this room. I mean, just picture me in front of a computer trying to figure this stuff out. But all I knew, I said, well, listen, I'm a customer service rep. I know how to process orders. So let me break them, see what error code comes up and see if it relates to these hundreds of thousands. Well, within 3 months, I had cleared all hundreds of thousands of errors. I went and told the IT guys, look, I know what this error code means that will clear 50,000 errors. This error code, the IT guys were like, phenomenal. Thank you, Nicole. Can you just write us a requirement so we can now change the system? I said, fantastic. What's a requirement? The guy said, look, come in on the weekend and we'll show you, because we need you to write exactly how you just told us how to fix it. Lo and behold, I end up rewriting Verizon's East Coast systems. And fast forward now, in 2010, I wrote the rules for myself. and I'm the first data-only telecom CEO in the United States.
Damn.
Okay. Well, damn.
Okay.
There's some pieces in the middle, but I think what hit me with everyone who was on the call today, I became a customer service rep. They didn't invite me to be in technology. It was because no one else wanted to do it. And I hope if any young people are watching this, it's okay to do what's not popular. It's okay.
And you know what? Here, something else is from your story. And Corinna, you tell me how this resonates with you as well. Just because an opportunity doesn't give you instant gratification,
yes,
doesn't mean that you shouldn't take the time to take advantage of it.
Absolutely.
Because I think that in our culture, it's like everything. It's like, what is it? What do I get from this right now? Like, do I get a pay raise? Like you said, do I get more time off? Absolutely. And then the next thing you know, that was the seed that was planted in your mind to the point where you not just got the skills. I mean, you're not talking about, I used to remember that, I don't know if y'all remember this telephone, what they call CP&P. It's like this old ass telephone company back in Baltimore.
CMP. So CMP was before Bell Atlantic.
And then you had Bell Atlantic. But you got your training from Verizon.
Yeah.
And then you built those relationships, you learned that skill, and that is just phenomenal. That is phenomenal.
It wasn't until after I wrote the rules that I started getting invited to meetings. And then the meetings became with more senior level executives, and they started calling me this word called SME. And so I asked the IT guys, I said, look, what is that word? Don't have them in here just calling me anything. And they said, no, it means subject matter expert. And I said, okay, like, is that a good thing? They said, yeah, it means you know what you're talking about. Because what I didn't share with you, I was only 23 at the time.
Damn.
So I didn't know what SME meant, But the reason why I say that is because even when you don't have a name, God will give you a name. Don't rush it.
See, this is that Friday. Corinna, see, this is what you do on Fridays. Go ahead, Corinna. Talk to sister. Just talk to them. Y'all taking me to go. Come on, this is how I like to end my Fridays, my weeks, son. Like when they can't give you a name, God will give you a name.
God will give you a title. Don't stress. I was just what I thought, just a customer service rep, and here now I'm a CEO. But something else I want to share with you. When I left Verizon, I went to work for a cable company, and I ended up learning the systems across the United States. So I invented nationwide data requirements for that cable company. But something else, I wanted a family. So even though I started at Verizon with only 2 children, I was blessed to have 3 more. So I had married the guy I was dating, who my boyfriend, my husband now. But I'm a mother of 5, and I say that because people said, oh, you can't have children and have a full-time job and let alone be successful. But no, I have a husband, 5 children, and I'm a boss. So if I can do it, you can do it too. Yes. You can do it too.
I just want to say too, your story resonated with me so much too, because my mom also, she worked for what used to be Southern Bell for almost 25 years, and then they turned into South as customer service representative as well. And I remember going to work with her sometimes on the off days. But yeah, I just think it's so amazing that you saw ahead to say, you know what, this is a learning opportunity. And
absolutely.
You saw, what it could bring you. I'm sure you didn't have in mind at that time that maybe it would have been CEO, right? But you knew that this would have been the next level. And like you said, you made it your college. And I think it's a testimony to, we should always seize the opportunity to take advantage of these learning opportunities when they're presented to ourselves. And we have to have the fortitude to see ahead how this can benefit me in the long run, and not always just for the right now. So I think this is just such an amazing story, how
I appreciate it.
You just had an idea like, oh, initially it's probably they were just offering some, we need some hands, though you're not getting paid, we need volunteers, and look how this turned out for you. I could only imagine how maybe some of your old coworkers must feel seeing you.
Come on, Corinna. Come on, hey, Corinna. Hey, Corinna, they hating on them. They like, they when they call me like, oh, hey girl, how y'all feeling? They be like, we still customer service reps.
Well, let me tell you something. I remember back then, my mindset was so focused on just being great at being me. You know, I didn't have a lot of people who were trying to come and support me to do X, right? You know, I'm this country girl from the Eastern Shore of Maryland. And, you know, like I said, I kept my head down, but a lot of times people would say a lot of things to put you down. So I didn't have people cheering me on. It was more so I had so many people telling me what I couldn't do, the fact that I'm a single mom or I'm not married. There were so many negatives.
Damn.
It made no sense for me to keep going because it was one of those things where, well, if everyone appears to be against me, why not keep moving forward? So the reps from back then actually support me to this day because I was consistent. You know, they used to ask me, why are you wearing suits? Mind you, I was a customer service rep. I started wearing suits to work. And I used to tell them, I'm not dressing for where I am. I'm dressing for where I'm going. I didn't even know.
Wait, hold on.
I love it.
Come on. Hey, Nicole. Our brains can only take but so much on a Friday.
I didn't even know.
Wait a minute, time out. You said you ain't dressing for where you are.
I'm dressing for where I'm going. Yeah.
All right, end the show. I appreciate you, Nicole. That's heavy. That's heavy.
I do have a quick question.
Go ahead, Corinna.
Nicole, do you foresee maybe trying to have some sort of like internship program, mentoring, you know, given, you know, your story and how you got to where you are?
Absolutely. So being that I'm from Maryland, I do plan on working with Governor Westmore and his team to see how we can support the entire state. Because one thing we need to start doing is creating a culture of unity. You know, even our Black culture, there's so many different layers of even who our Black people are. You can't put us in a box, you know, so I want to make sure now that I have access to data, every HBCU should as well. Every underserved community should as well. So whatever I can do to make sure that happens, I will.
So as a subject matter expert, you can go into practically any system and help them to secure the system, help them to mine any unnecessary data. You can help them to be better in that. Am I understanding that correctly, Nicole?
Well, actually, my specialty is all around consumer data. So your personal information, your name, your address, and telephone number, where it goes, how it appears. So the focus of the projects I'm working on right now is how to enhance consumer privacy and protections for the whole U.S. So the focus is putting all of our people back in control of their information, even over the internet. And I'm going to work with the telecom companies to make that happen.
And how do you have that? I know we got a few moments left, but how do you have those conversations being the only Black woman in the room in some cases?
It's about relationship. I think the best thing I've been able to do is establish relationships and being consistent and remaining relevant. You know, even though I started as a subject matter expert at 23, 20 years later, I've attended conferences where those same men who knew me at 23 are like, hey, weren't you that customer service rep? So because my focus has been serving the people, the customers, they remember me. So if you focus on, and I think Elisa had said that, who's hurting? You know, I wasn't so focused on getting promoted. I was focused on solving problems. You know, if a judge had his information in what we used to use 411 or the white and yellow pages in error, I handled those calls to get that judge out. Or if a company, a business wasn't able to have their information published, I'd handle that. So by solving problems has allowed me to really stay connected to those who really need us.
All right, let me give you this final question as we gotta wrap up. But your story is super inspiring to say the least, Nicole.
No,
what should a Black America's relationship be with technology and communications, especially with the rise of social media? Now we got the rise of AI. And let me just tell you, now this might be a whole nother conversation.
Yeah.
I read a fantastic article in Vanity Fair just a couple of nights ago where they talked about the four, as they describe them, the four technocrats of like Musk, Mark Zuckerberg, and two other guys that are looking to take what they call transhumanism. I never heard this term, but they're trying to take machine intelligence and converge it with human intelligence for some really, really like sci-fi type of stuff that many people would say is morally a problem and ethically may be problematic down the road. So what should our relationship be with technology, especially since a lot of our children, young people, the next generation is on using technology so much and so often? How should we move forward?
I'll try to point out three quick things. Number one, pay attention to things you're logging into. Don't just, read over things, but if you don't know how your information is being shared, ask a question. It's okay to ask, because being technical is very technical, right? So some people may not even know what to ask. So sometimes every product you're using, if you have to share your information, ask how they're using it. That's number one, right? The other thing is every political body in our environment, in our country, they work for us. So if there's not enough information to help explain how Facebook works, how your data is being used on Facebook, go to your governor, your mayors, your council members, and tell them, I need to understand this better. And number three, don't stop letting your voice be heard. Don't let the word technology overwhelm you. Just ask a question. And if they can't answer it, make sure they find someone who can. Because there is a huge digital divide. Our seniors are being left behind. So we're not going to even know sometimes what the right question is to even ask, right? So when you have a question, go to your local community, your political figures, ask them what it means, but ask questions. Don't assume everyone that's using your data is using it for good.
That's some real talk right there. Folks, Nicole, how can people get more information about your company, Listing Central LLC?
So to stay connected to us, definitely just go to my website, www.listingcentralllc.com. There's a contact link on that page. Definitely share, connect with me, especially for groups wanting to, needing someone to speak to support their youth. We'll also have our media contact on there as well. But don't worry, while this is the beginning of our conversations, it's not the last. There's a lot more coming. And even though some of you may have just heard from me right now, you'll hear more from me very soon in the future.
There it is right there. Nicole Nixon.
And anytime you guys need me and invite me, I'm here.
Oh, man. No, and I think that we need to have a much bigger conversation talking about HBCUs and technology, right?
Absolutely.
Corinna?
Oh, yes. You
know what I'm saying? We got to figure out how to make our HBCUs more modernize the systems, from everything from accepting payments to putting out some information. But that's part of the concern I think a lot of HBCUs have around this space that we're in, this digital divide space that we find ourselves in. Nicole, fascinating story.
I appreciate you. Well, just know there's a sister at the telecom table.
There it is right there. Nothing but peace and blessings to your husband, to your children, and to your family. And it's just thank you. This is a great way to end our week. So I appreciate you for your story, and most importantly, thank you for being so good for the culture, Nicole. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for the work you all are doing, and I'll be in touch. Don't worry, we'll stay connected. We family now.
Oh, there it is, right there. There it is. I appreciate that. Thank you, Nicole.
Absolutely.
All right, man. Oh man, Corinna, what wow. The sister's dope. That's just dope.
This was great today, Farajii. Can I just say thank you that I didn't have to talk about Florida today, child.
No, I ain't with you there.
From the foolishness, you know what I'm saying? But maybe when I finally become an Esquire, I might have to come on up to the DMV. We'll see.
Or come out to the great state of California.
That too. That could be something in the works. But one quick thing before we end the day, I want to say the conversations we had in the latter part of the show today, I think that's our hope right there. A lot of that hope, right? Where we're seeing Miss Nicole, where she's saying she was just 23 years old and just had, you know, a thirst to learn. And then look where it's taken her now, where Sis has her own company. And then these great organizations doing so much for Baltimore with the youth. I mean, they literally have a grant fund specified for children and youth. And I think sometimes we just get so caught up in the mess of what's going on, but we got to remember the greatness that's happening, right? And I think that's our hope right there, that we have to hold on to when we're trying to fight against these oppressive systems. So we can't dim that light, and we need to shine it more brightly, more often, to remember and stay focused on the goal at the end of the day. Just saying.
All right, y'all. She just said my closing remarks, so I'm gonna just leave it just like that. Coretta Denise, one of our favorite people in the world and an awesome culture crew member. Thank you so much, sis, for joining us here on Friday. But I'm serious. I'm gonna end the show because I don't want to mess that up. You have a fantastic weekend, and God willing, we'll connect with you next week. All right.
Thank you for having me. Peace, crew.
Absolutely. All right, peace. Folks, that's going to do it for us. I thank each and every one of you for joining us in the conversation. Thank you for your patience and being with us today. I want to thank my fantastic production team, Joel, Shannon, Chris, Maddie, Lise, and my man King Keenan for making us look and sound so good. There we go. It is Friday, folks. I hope you enjoyed everything that we presented to you this week. And most importantly, that you go into the weekend feeling a little bit more empowered, a little bit more uplifted, and more importantly, that you are really connected to the culture. So do yourself a due diligence and support us here at Black Star Network. Go to our website today at blackstarnetwork.com. Your support means everything to us. Your financial support, sharing the content that we put out there. We're actually streaming a number of things. We've been streaming what the vice president has been saying, talking to HBCU student leaders. So we've been streaming that. We've been streaming Ketanji Brown Jackson's remarks from the bombing of the 16th Street Baptist Church as we're celebrating the 60th anniversary of that tragedy. It's not celebration, but more of an acknowledgement of what happened 60 years ago. So we are streaming a lot of fantastic content on blackstarnetwork.com. So it is so important that you join us and making sure you share that content. So thank you, thank you, thank you. Stay tuned. Up next, 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time is Rolton Martin Unfiltered. Follow me on all social media platforms, The Real Farajii on Instagram and Farajii on Twitter and on Threads and other spaces. But I would love to connect with you as we continue to build the community. As always, never be afraid to challenge what's wrong. Stand for what's right while being yourself in the process. God willing, we will talk on Monday for another exciting edition of The Culture right here, only here, exclusively here on the Black Star Network. Talk to you soon. Have a great weekend. Peace.
You're rocking